Today on the Premiership Perusal podcast, Arsenal, the talk of town, atop the table, perfect through 5. They pick up 2 wins in the 2-match weeks. Man City keep on rolling as they demolish Nottingham Forest this past match day. Man U and Liverpool both back-to-back wins for both sides. Chelsea keep slipping. Mid-table sides like West Ham and Villa find themselves in dire positions. All that and everything in between. This is the Premiership Perusal podcast.
Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Back, Fuchs. The ball in behind Damian Vardy! It's 11! It's heaven for Jamie Vardy!
You are an ostrich. Well, your head must be in the sand. Is your head in the sand? Are you flexible enough to get your head in the sand?
Now the fans are shouting every week, Louis van Gaal's army! Louis van Gaal's army!
Feet after a fabulous start, the game just got away from you there.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say about the game at all.
Drama from day one! This is the league we want to watch!
How's it going, dude?
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon,
And good night.
and good night.
Good evening in the middle of
Good evening.
Good evening.
Shout out Unai Emery.
Uh,
Well, let's not mess about.
no, we
There
got a
were
lot.
20 games.
We got
a lot to cover.
Yeah, my recaps aren't going to be too long because I tried to.
Yep, short and
keep it-
sweet. We can't.
Should we even do lineups today?
We can't bore the people.
You want to do lineups? All right, we'll do lineups.
We'll do
We could do lineups. That's tradition. It's
yeah,
tradition.
quick lineups.
Bazunu, Walker, well, first off, first match of the 2 match days.
Yes.
Southampton, Manchester United, St. Mary's. The lineups: Bazunu, Walker Peters, Gineppo, Salisu, Bella Ketchup, Bottle of Ketchup,
Bottle of ketchup.
Joe Rebo, James Ward-Prowse, Adam Armstrong, El Nuesi, Lavia, Che Mick Adams. For United, De Gea, Lissandro Martinez, Malacia, Varane, Dalot, Bruno Fernandes, Christian Eriksen, Jadon Sancho, Anthony Elanga, Scott McTominay, Marcus Rashford. To the game.
To the game.
Back and forth early on. Neither side really establishing kind of, dominant play or anything. Some costly giveaways by United. They looked a bit unsure at the back at times. It's not the first time we've seen it. But we've also seen this scenario where Southampton can't take advantage of chances very often. Adam Armstrong lately, he's been playing a lot better. And I think it's because he's not just a 9. They have him more out wide now.
Mm-hmm.
I think getting him in space and letting him dribble to build up into the attacking play is really working in terms of getting him involved. They're definitely utilizing that tactic this game. But it was definitely more Man U as the half went on, able to possess, kind of slow it down. Crazy mad scramble in front of the net to make sure United only get a corner by Southampton. I'm sure everyone's seen that clip by now of just the block shot after block shot by Southampton. But couple chances for Southampton, mainly through Shea Adams. But the first half wasn't too sharp by either side, but it was pretty balanced. The midfield for both was, But what are you gonna do? 0-0 at half. Second half, United early on grabbed the lead, playing quick, linking up passes, and it's your guy, Bruno Fernandes. He's back on the score sheet. 55th minute from a Dalot cross. Then United were like, all right, we're just going to sit back. We're going to sit back and absorb all the pressure possible. So Southampton, after that goal, looked the better side, holding possession, pushing forward. Armstrong looked to be Southampton's best player this game, and then they subbed him off. Thought that was kind of strange by Mr. Hasenhüttl.
The wheel spins,
Yes.
as we like to say.
Yeah. Big save from David De Gea on Joe Aribo. In this entire time when this was going on, probably from like the 65th minute on, Man U are just looking solely to counter, and they're very out of sorts. United are not a great counterattack team. If they win the ball in midfield and it's like a short distance to kind of have like fast build-up play and counter, yes. But like going length of the field, that's not their forte, which is kind of strange because you'd think, a guy like Sancho and stuff and Rashford, you get him in space, but what do I know? Mara with a couple of chances to end the game. Southampton had 47 touches in United's box this game. Still not enough. It's United to hold on for a 1-0 victory.
Southampton struggling to get the clinical finish. It's always been a weakness of theirs.
Yep.
United get the 3 points despite not having the most convincing of performances. I think you got to say at this point, whatever you need to do to get the 3 points.
Yeah, for United.
Get the ball rolling. It's not going to be perfect.
No.
You just got to have something to build off of.
With that said, I'm definitely going to complain later on about Tottenham's performances, and they're doing virtually the exact same thing.
Well, I think the difference is both teams are in very different stages of where they want to be. United, it's, of course, they're rebuilding for like the 9,000th time, and they're starting from ground zero. Tottenham, they've had, a good half season under Conte. They have more of a plan. The players are more so in place.
Yeah, but they're still just doing the same exact thing. They're just grinding results.
Well, that is 100% true. I won't argue that.
Yeah, they're not playing beautiful football as we'd like to feast our eyes upon, but they get it
that's
done.
Conte.
Yeah, that's Conte, and it might just be the bald genius himself, Erik ten Hag.
Yeah, and you have the man who should be bald, Conte.
Yeah.
Who was fraudulent to his baldness.
Yeah.
He should not have hair. That man should not have hair.
No, he has hair plugs.
He is defying science, genetics.
You don't go against
karma,
the grain. Yeah.
Well,
that's,
So anyways,
as far as this goes for Southampton, solid performance.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to see Hans. I feel like it's not that hard to figure out, Mr. Hasenhüttl, what lineup to put out there, but he keeps finding ways to make it a struggle. But I guess this one, with, having 2 matches in a week, I'll be a little lenient on him.
Yeah.
But I feel like you can tell who should be playing, who shouldn't be playing.
Yeah. Moving on to match number 2 of 20, Brentford versus Everton. To the lineups for Brentford: Raya, Hickey, Henry, Mee, Zanka, Norgard, Jensen, De Silva, Wissa, Tony, and Mbumo. For Everton: Pickford, Tarkowski, Holgate, Cody, Patterson, Onana, Iwobi, Mikalenko, McNeil, Anthony Gordon, and Damari Gray. So this game was fairly even throughout the first half. Everton started the game with more possession, but Brentford just looked a little sharper in attack. They had a couple chances. Mbumo had a shot go just wide, and Jensen hit the post. Again, the post coming in.
Yeah.
Just like last week. It's like
not favorable.
Everything that hits the post does not go in. No
Has
bar down,
anyone
no post
hit
in.
the post in just in general this year?
I can't think of one. I can only think of the numerous times where it has hit the post and gone out.
I'm trying to think if Fabian Scher's blast hit it and went in. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think that was just straight in.
Despite Brentford having the better opportunities, Everton took the lead in the 24th minute through who else other than the 100 million pound man himself, Anthony Gordon. A beautiful ball, perfect ball up from Mr. Connor Cody. What he does best, the long ball up, perfectly to Gordon, takes a touch, takes a finish right through the wickets, as they say.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know,
really nice
that's funny you
finish.
say that about Gordon, because I saw some report that Chelsea never even offered above 40 mil. So that makes me question who is even like, they won't even take 80 for him. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's the fog of war, the fog of transfer day,
Who to
deadline
believe?
day. Yeah.
Who to not believe?
Brentford ended the first half with a couple of chances through Tony and Mbumo. Ivan Tony had a really nice header that I think it might have hit off the post. But
Wouldn't
he really
surprise
should
me.
have scored. It was a free header. First half ended 1-0. Second half, Brentford looked much better in the second half. Had a chance from a long throw. Norgard almost getting on the bike for the overhead finish, but couldn't get it.
Yeah, that would have been absolutely filthy.
Yeah. Gordon had a chance to add a second after Onana won the ball high up the pitch, but it was saved by Raya. And then Brentford pushed hard, just like they have throughout this season. They do not give up.
No.
They might not start the games well, but hey.
They might be this year's Brighton, where they just turn losses into draws
Yeah.
and just grind a bunch of extra points out that way.
They pushed hard for the equalizer, found it in the 84th minute through Janelt. Nice flicked on set piece. Again, Brentford, another key strength, set pieces, and they utilized it here to grab the equalizer. Finishes 1-1. Points are shared. Overall, I thought it was a pretty fair result. You have two teams who are kind of similar in they haven't always played the best, but they've always been in the games.
Yeah, Brentford right now kind of feel like a team that's just holding on, not in a bad way, but like they're just frisky. They're in each game. They kind of play to their opponent's level, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
As far as Everton, they're not that bad. And I tweeted this out. They're not that bad.
They really aren't.
No, it's surprising.
It is.
But yet their fans are like, oh, we suck. And their players will come out and be like, it's not ideal, these results, but the performances and stuff. I know you don't want to hear that, but it actually, from an outside, it looks better than what it has the last year or two
Yeah.
from Everton.
Definitely.
I mean, that's just going to happen when you have guys like Connor Cody and stuff, which he hasn't even played that amazing for them, but he's been playing. He's a higher quality than Everton typically have.
I think just having his distribution from out of the back has been huge. Tarkovsky has looked really solid.
You're going to eat your words.
I am eating my words. He hasn't put a foot wrong so far. Anthony Gordon, the finishing has been there this season. He looks, I'm glad he didn't go to Chelsea because I don't think he suits Chelsea's system whatsoever.
I think he would be fine in terms of being in the Kai Havertz role. It's just you never know what Tuchel's going to do with guys. I don't know. They keep getting nice performances, too, out of guys like Iwobi and stuff. And Patterson will get to the midweek game, but he looked good in that game.
100%. Iwobi has been like a new player in his new role.
If they can get some stuff out of guys like McNeil and stuff, it won't be too bad. But
yeah. Moving on to the next match, Brighton versus Leeds. Speaking of Brighton,
We all love
lineups:
We all love Leeds.
Sanchez, Webster, Dunk, Estupinan, Veltman,
Purvis is his Purvis.
He is Purvis. Hello, I am Purvis. Solly March, McAllister, Trossard, Caicedo, Gross, and Welbeck. For Leeds, Meslier, Koch, Llorente, Struijk, Christensen, Aronson, Roca, Harrison, Adams, James, and Rodrigo.
To the game.
Get to my notes here. First half, both sides look pretty bad, if you can believe it. I mean, both teams have played pretty decently so far this season. I came into this match thinking it's a pretty interesting matchup.
Yes.
Two teams who are in pretty good form. Brighton was able to possess the ball more, and their press was really good on Leeds. Leeds were really struggling, kept giving away possession, barely could get past the halfway line.
Yeah, I mean, Brighton this year have really, really turned games into defensive battles just from the offset.
Yeah, the downfall of Brighton was that their their attack was particularly poor this match. One player that stood out as having an off game was Trossard. He had at least a couple chances where it just seemed like, hey, take the shot. But instead he'd like cut back and maybe dribble some more and eventually
Too cute.
give away the ball. And that was just really frustrating to watch. And Leeds were really struggling to get their offensive players into the game. Jack Harrison was like non-existent.
Yeah. That's player of the year through match week 3, Jack Harrison to you.
Yeah. Rodrigo wasn't getting like any service.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You got to feed the hot hand. But if you can't feed him, you know, how's he going to stay hot?
Yeah, and there was a little feistiness in this match as well. Went into halftime 0-0.
That's the Jesse Marshall lighting a fire under his
Yeah,
team
I feel
right
like Leeds, they're just kind of like, they got the dog in them, as the kids would say.
The dog.
The dog.
They got the dog in them.
Goes into halftime 0-0. Second half, Brighton opened up the half with a great chance through March, but Meslier came up with a big save. Brighton started making errors, giving up the ball high up the pitch, or in their own half, I should say. Their new left back replacement for Cucurella, who is
Pervis.
estúpido not.
Perfect Pervis.
Well, let me tell you, he was not perfect because at least 2 or 3 times he was just caught on the ball, dilly-dallying,
How dare you?
and gave away possession. But Leeds weren't really able to capitalize on it. Brighton were able to find the first and only goal of the game in the 65th minute with a well-worked team play that led to a goal for the man informed,
By
Pascal Gross.
Now player of the year through match week 5,
Yes.
Pascal Gross.
This was the game to see who moves on in the bracket challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mr. Gross moved on. Mm-hmm. Mr. Pascal Teddy Gross.
After that, Brighton pretty much just set up shop and defended for the rest of the game to secure all 3 points. Big win for Brighton as they continue on.
Yeah, you know, Brighton's just that team starting off hot. Building off last year, we thought, you know, lose Basuma, lose Cucurella, maybe a step back a little bit, not too much, but
Yeah.
they're still pounding on. They even lost your guy, Neil Maupay, who Everton still have yet to register. But good performance by them. Leeds, bit of a drop-off, couldn't match the energy of Brighton. I don't know. Brighton are a good matchup for Leeds in terms of being
Yeah.
able to stop Leeds, typically.
The thing I liked about Brighton was that they were able to get the win despite not playing their best part, you know, in the attack
Yeah,
specifically.
that's their next step. Their first step was turning losses into draws. Did that last year. Now this year it's going to be taking games from that are normally draws, taking those to wins.
Yeah.
When maybe, you know, the performance isn't the best, but if you grind out the result,
Yeah.
that'll get you far. Speaking of grinding out results, we have Chelsea and Leicester City.
Leicester grinds out losses.
Yeah, dude, they make it about as hard on themselves as a team can. The lineups: Mendy, Chalobah, Silva, James, Cucurella, Jorginho, Loftus-Cheek, Mount, Gallagher, Sterling, Havertz for Leicester City. Ward, Justin, Evans, Amarte, Castagna, Barnes, Tielemans, Dewsbury Hall, Pratt, Sumore, Jamie Vardy.
Little mix-up in the midfield there.
Yeah, a
Changing things
little
up.
mix-up for both teams. Chelsea going 4-4-2 on us out of nowhere. Proper English Tommy Tuchel. Game kind of starts off, Chelsea holding the ball, Leicester sitting back, nothing too crazy. Chelsea's passing just brutal in this one. I have a note here. Kai Havertz should not be playing. What's the point of having a pressing forward if you're just going to be holding the ball anyways?
That's true.
Apparently was offside and cost Chelsea a penalty because they went back and reviewed the play. Thin margins. There's a lot of VAR thin margins this week.
The thinnest of margins.
All the way around. Gallagher gets a dumb yellow, and then the second yellow, no one talked about this, completely Mark Cucurella's fault.
Yes.
Just horrible passing decisions and also Gallagher being the last man back already on a yellow. You could have
Right.
had it been Mount or anyone.
It seems like normally you have 2 guys back.
Yeah, not with proper
not
English
Chelsea.
football. Not with proper English football, Tommy Tuchel.
They
To be
need the
fair, though,
set-piece
can you
goals.
really anticipate that Cucurella would, like, try to send the ball back in and he'd, like, shank it backwards in the middle of the field?
I suppose that's a good point.
That's a monkey wrench into the thought process. 10 versus 11, not much difference. And this is where I came very concerned with Leicester. Harvey Barnes scores, goal disallowed. Reece James on a little counterattack. Chelsea's real first chance since the send-off. Rattles the crossbar, an absolute thunderbolt. Vardy had a ton of chances this game. Dragged the first one wide. And then right before half, big save by Ed Mendy.
Ben Mendy.
That man didn't save much. He didn't even save his life. So 0-0 going in the half. Second half, Sterling opens up the half with the goal. Curled, deflected, dipper. That's what we call that goal. Chelsea counterattack, Sterling hitting the post. But Leicester, more of a threat in this half, forcing a lot more saves out of Mendy. And then, I thought Thiago Silva had an amazing game. I like to go through like each team's like their fan like pages and stuff and see what people rated. People had like Loftus-Cheek as a 9 in this game. I barely noticed him. And then they'll have like Thiago Silva's 7, and he's like the last man back like 90% of the time, making like sprawling tackles. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, he's a 7 for me. Chelsea add a second one through an amazing pass by Reece James, drilled straight across the face in net. Raheem Sterling tap in. Leicester respond. Harvey Barnes, nice little 1-2 with Vardy about 5 minutes after, and it looks like Leicester back in it. And the best part about that is the announcer saying that it was vintage Harvey Barnes. Made no sense whatsoever. It was a 1-2 give go, and he slotted it around Mendy. Where it's like, if there is such a thing as vintage Harvey Barnes, it's like an amazing wonder goal. It's not like a normal goal. I don't.
Yeah.
Ayoze Perez rings the crossbar. Vardy 2 or 3 chances, including a couple one-on-one chances, but just let Leicester down. Finishes 2-1. Chelsea grind out the result. Yeah, I mean, for Leicester's sake in this one, no one besides... I mean, Tielemans was at least fine in this game, but that's second half is kind of when you notice that Chelsea were missing a man because Tielemans would be on the ball, and he was able to just pick out long balls all day. Gallagher wasn't there, so there was space. So he looked pretty good. Harvey Barnes obviously scored, but he didn't do a ton besides that. As far as Chelsea go, Sterling and James, that's about all they got going for them right now in attack. Their defense isn't too bad, but it's a bit leaky. But I'm more concerned about Chelsea's midfield right now.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I mean, last episode I was talking about Gallagher, and you and I have a difference of opinion on the matter. I don't like him in this farther back position. You say you don't mind.
Yeah.
I think of him more as like a pure 10, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. I feel like they're not getting the most out of him by
They're
playing
definitely
him in that
not,
position.
but they have to have him be there because of N'Golo Kante being injured again.
Yeah, that's true.
They kind of have to plug and play him. Even when Kante was healthy, they're kind of having him in the Kovacic role, so he's bouncing around a couple different roles. He just needs a place to get settled into, and I'm of the opinion that they should drop Havertz and just have Mount as a false 9. And then, because they have Mount kind of out wide doing stuff, but like tracking back and stuff, maybe Gallagher there. Like, it's not like a full-on like winger or anything, but kind of have him, a little bit of press, getting forward. Maybe there would be better, but right now, All I know is Kai Havertz should not be playing.
There was a hint in me that thought, oh, maybe this might be the Conor Gallagher exile.
Yeah.
He gets the red card, and then they're like, all right, send
We're
him
selling.
off to
No,
someone.
I don't think they can afford to sell any depth right now.
Yeah, that's fair, I suppose.
And Leicester, on the other hand, they have to sell a couple guys because otherwise they're not going to have any money to buy a bunch of guys because they need a bunch of guys.
Yeah. Obviously, the big move being Fofana to Chelsea.
Yep.
And they did bring in a replacement,
Yeah.
a David Luiz lookalike.
Yeah, he's Sideshow. He's literally Sideshow Bob.
The
His name
second,
is his name like Voot or something?
Voot.
Voot something. I don't remember his last name.
Yeah,
But I'm glad that the Premier League always should have a guy named Voot.
definitely. I agree.
Yeah, there's not much else to say about that one.
Yeah, they do have kind of a bloated squad and not able to get rid of Tielemans. No one wants to pay £40 million. Can you believe it, for a guy with 1 year left
I
on his
thought I
contract?
saw something that they would take 25 to 30. But even then,
No one wants him.
yeah,
No one wants him.
you can get him on a free.
Exactly. Moving on to one of the more interesting matches
You better not cover every goal.
of the week.
You better not cover every goal. I haven't eaten dinner tonight. You better not cover every goal.
We're talking about Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Everyone, if you haven't heard by now, Liverpool won 9-0.
Yeah.
Lineups: Alisson, Gomez, Van Dijk, Robertson, TAA, Fabinho, Henderson, Elliott, Firmino, Salah, and Luis Diaz.
Let me tell you
aka
something
Louis
about
D.
having Trent Alexander-Arnold captain in your fantasy team this week and
Yes.
then immediately getting rid of him and saying thank you.
That's because you're a genius. You're like seeing beyond the game.
Not really. I had him last year from the start, him and Salah, and that's the only reason I was able to beat you. But
See-
this year, I didn't go Salah. I tried to zig, but the problem is I had Haaland week 1, and then
Yeah.
I got rid of him. Now I had to use my wild card to get Haaland back.
Oh man, the week 5 wild card.
Last year, I didn't use my wild card until the last week, and I've tried to pick the most ideal matchups. I tried to just load up Tottenham against Norwich.
Yeah. Yeah, as opposed to me, who captained Salah, who got 6 points. Me and like 70% of everyone else.
Yeah, well, I should have triple captain Bobby Firmino, bro. Like the two people in the planet Earth who are galaxy brains.
Yeah, I can't handle that level of genius. For Bournemouth, Travers, Meffam, Smith, Senesi, Zamora, Cook, Lerma, Christie, Tavernier, I should say, and Jaden Anthony and Kiefer Moore.
You know what that sounds like? Sounds like a team that's about to get 9-0'd.
Close your eyes. Find my...
Do you really have to?
I summed it up very nicely. I said, here's what I said about the game. Liverpool did not take long to open the scoring as Luis Diaz scored on a header with an assist from Bobby Firmino, and that was about 3 minutes in. Maybe even less, 2 minutes. They added 2 more excellent goals. Oh, I forgot to preface this. Dare I say, most unlucky 9-0 there has been. That's my hot take.
Southampton is really about to throw
Yes.
fists at you right
I mean,
now.
there's like three contenders out there. So
Exactly,
it might
and
be
they're
one of
all
three.
Southampton, so that's why they're heated.
Yes.
They're like, hey,
Hey, that's our thing.
no, they're heated at you. They're like, oh, those aren't unlucky, but this one is.
Yeah, right. Liverpool added 2 excellent goals, world-class goals from Harvey Elliott. Harvey and Trent Alexander-Arnold. They were just absolute bangers.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even say anything. Like, anytime
No.
someone scores that, you're like, okay, well done. There's nothing we
Yeah.
could have done to stop those goals. And then this is where it gets bad. A terribly unlucky deflection just falls perfectly to Bobby Firmino. I believe it was from Tavernier. A Liverpool player kicked the ball, and Tavernier was like 2 feet away, straight at Tavernier. The ball deflects, lands perfectly in his own box, and Firmino's just like, oh, thank you, I'll score. So it's 4-0 at that point. And then just before halftime, Van Dijk said, I'm going to dunk on you for number 5. Halftime, 5-0. On the other side of the break, Liverpool scored a dubious goal. if I do say so myself. A foul in the build-up and somehow an offside not given because he didn't impact the play. Yes, it was an
As
own
in
goal.
the ball was played to him.
But the ball was played to him, so the defender had to make the tackle, and in said tackle, he kicked the ball into his own net. How that's
wild.
not impacting the play, I don't know. Also a foul in the build-up. And then Carvalho scored his first goal for the club. Diaz added one more in the 85th minute to finish 9-0. And we say goodbye to our first manager of the year, Scott Parker, and his cursed cardigan.
This is why you can never bet on things like first coach fired. Because sometimes teams just make the strangest decisions. Hans has lost 9-0 twice. He's like the third longest tenured Premier League manager.
Aston Villa had a historically hard schedule.
Villa? You mean Bournemouth?
Sorry, Bournemouth. I was
Yeah.
going to say because they beat Villa
Yeah.
week 1. So they won. They got 3 points in the first match. And then they had to play Arsenal, Man City, and Liverpool. And then you say, okay, we lost all 3 of those unwinnable games. It's
Yeah.
time to sack Scott Parker, which leads me to believe that they already wanted him sacked. And at that point, why didn't you just sack him in the offseason and bring someone new? You weren't
It doesn't-
committed to Scott Parker.
Nothing about it made sense. Nothing about... Because it's a 9-0, I don't get...
It was unlucky.
I'm just so confused. You react this harsh over one result?
Yeah, really, it shouldn't matter if it's
You
9-0.
should go into the season thinking, yes, we will lose
Right.
we'll lose against Arsenal.
Yeah.
We're going to lose against City. We're going to lose at Anfield. I don't get it. It's
Yeah.
just not practical by Bournemouth.
Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, you have to say, okay, our season starts week 4 after those.
Yeah.
Those
and guess what?
games.
He got his win week 1. You'd be bottom of
Right.
the table if... I really don't
Yeah,
understand.
really, they were 3 points ahead of where they should have been.
I could think of about 4 or 5 managers that should be sacked out of Scott Parker. Very strange decision.
So the tale of Scott Parker and his cursed cardigan comes to an end.
He'll be back.
It was brief.
He better be. We still believe in him.
And-
Still
and-
Scott Parker fan club over here.
Yes, and
But we are
Maybe a new
completely out.
cardigan.
I'm completely out on Bournemouth. Coming in this year, we had them 17. They're relegated.
absolutely,
They're 20th.
absolutely,
Predictions have changed.
yes, they're very fluid.
They crossed
predictions.
us.
Moving on to the next match.
City, Palace, the lineups. Ederson, Walker, Diaz, Stones, Cancelo, Rodri, De Bruyne, Silva, Mahrez, Foden, Erling, Haaland, my boy Erlings. Sam's guy.
Erlings.
Sam has J-Lings. I have Erlings.
Oh, cursed.
Crystal Palace lineup. We have Guaita, Ward, Mitchell, Guehi, Anderson, Klein, Ayew, Etze, Schlupp, Ducore, Edouard. Game starts off. Man City sloppy. What's up with Man City being sloppy early?
John Stones.
Ederson running after the ball, not getting there, and Cancelo forced to give up a free kick as a result. That free kick leads to an own goal off John Stones. 1-0 inside 2 minutes for Palace. Man City in control for the next chunk of time, but in control for 15 minutes, but they don't do much with it. They don't do much with it. Palace holds strong. Palace go down, get a corner. Next chance, 2-0. Anderson off the corner. And just like that, Palace are thinking, oh yeah, here we go again.
We're back, baby.
We're-
Repeat of last season.
Yeah, and Man City's thinking, again, these guys, they do it all the time for whatever reason.
Those freaking birds, man.
Crystal Palace still kind of being aggressive, which I was surprised by, more aggressive than normal. And then this was one I saw people complain about. I can't get behind it really, and that's as me, president of the Crystal Palace fan club out here. Mm-hmm. Ederson rolling the ball into Edouard / Edouard sticking his leg out a bit. and Crystal Palace scored on it. Ederson like runs up to Edouard and rolls it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he's clearly just trying to prove that Edouard is like
Right.
not hustling and he's just trying to win a free kick. But he didn't really stick his leg out that much. Like if the ref was like super blunt and like, no, Ederson, you're just being a freaking idiot. it could have gave it to him, but you're never going to get that call realistically.
Yeah.
So 2-0 at half, Palace
In the driver's seat.
in Dream World.
You're dreaming.
You must be dreaming.
Good day, Haaland, rise.
That's what Haaland said. He's like, you must be dreaming.
You must be dreaming if you can think you can win 2-0.
City respond quick into the half on a deflected shot for Bernardo Silva that goes in. Once that happened, the floodgates really opened up. Man City methodically passing the ball with Crystal Palace pinned, creating a bunch of chances. Bernardo Silva really getting forward more this year. Had a good chance that just went wide. And my boy Erlings equalizes on a header from a Foden lofted ball. And it's equalized. And then they have a nice, well-worked goal for the third one come the 70th minute. And the comeback is complete, 3-2. But it isn't until the fourth goal that the true hat-trick is complete for Erling Haaland. Amazing strength, great pass through, slotted finish.
The
4-2.
19-minute hat trick.
He is an absolute animal and the ultimate game changer.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, he's like a cheat code. He's like super tall,
Yeah.
strong, but also incredibly fast and very technical.
Yeah, I mean, a guy with his frame should not be as good as he is. And he's just like a genius knowing where to be at all times in the box.
Yeah.
So good luck to Premier League managers who have to deal with that guy.
Dude, Man City feels like a video game boss where it's like you kill him and then
Yeah.
you're like, I killed it. And then it's like, no, you didn't.
No.
And it revives up to full health and you're like, I got to kill it again. But this time
Yeah.
it's like way stronger. It's like, what
like
the
armor.
heck? It just feels like they can't be beaten.
No. They got the system. They got the players. I mean, that's why I came in this year. I said they were going to win the league by 10 points, and I stand by that. They're
Yeah.
insane. And I think that they might have the best team in Europe, and they could win the Champions League. I predicted that, but we'll see. That's a whole other animal. A lot more luck-based
True.
than...
It's a different competition.
Yeah, but, I mean, they just look so good. They look so good in attack. In this game that we'll talk about when they played Forest, I don't know if I've seen Man City pass that well. Their passing in that game was insane.
Mm-hmm.
Just picking long balls and stuff. So if you're Palace in this one, sure you went up 2-0. It's Man City. You can't be too frustrated that
Yeah.
you let it slip.
Yeah.
They're too good.
They are.
So, moving on.
Last game of
Saturday.
Arsenal versus Fulham. The afternoon delight premier game. Arsenal, Ramsdale, Tierney, White.
Arsenal Ramsdale.
Arsenal, Ramsdale. He's like Arsene Wenger, you know. Tierney, White, Gabriel, Saliba, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, El Neni in for the injured Partey, Granit Xhaka, and Gabby Jesus.
The new number 10, Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, true. Mad lad. For Fulham, Leno, Kenny
Look at him.
Tete.
He's out for a revenge game.
Very confident crossed arms there. Tosin, Ream, Robinson, Reed, Cabano, Di Cordova, Reed, Pereira, Polina, and the big man, Mitrovic, up top.
Le Big Mac.
Le Big Mitrovic. Let me tell you about this Arsenal game. Arsenal opened up the match on the front foot, pushing Fulham back into their own half by dominating the possession. Chances for Arsenal were limited, however, to just a couple in the first half, with Granit Xhaka having one that was kind of unexpected for him and everyone else, and he put it wide. And then Saka, who had a good chance, kind of one-on-one with the keeper, but the finishing wasn't there. Not too exciting first half. Ended 0-0. Arsenal the better side, but weren't really clinical in attack. Second half, Fulham capitalized on a mistake from Arsenal trying to play out of the back. Saka just throws a ball across his own box to Gabriel, and then Gabriel's like, okay, I'll just dribble out of this. And Mitrovic is like, no. Takes the ball.
I'm an animal.
Scores. Fulham in dream world as they take the 1-0 lead on the road. Arsenal thinking, oh boy, here we go. Mistakes out of the back. After the goal, Fulham focused on setting up shop to prevent Arsenal from scoring. They looked really solid defensively, and they were just kind of putting up a wall for each wave of the Arsenal attack that came after them. Arsenal changed the system, brought on Nketiah, looked fantastic in his 30 minutes, and they were able to draw level in the 64th minute after Odegaard's long shot. Took a big deflection, but it found the back of the net.
He's hot, and he stays hot.
Despite equalizing, this change of system found Arsenal to be somewhat vulnerable, and there were a couple times where Ramsdale had to make some clutch saves. The breakthrough for Arsenal came in the 84th minute from a corner kick. Arsenal players crowded out Bernd Leno, knowing his weakness as he used to be one of them. He kind of flailed at the ball, couldn't get the contact on the punch, and then Gabriel poked it in for the winner. 2-1. Arsenal go crazy, come from behind.
Limbs.
Victory. Limbs. All 3 points at home to make it 4 out of 4.
Give him the second place trophy.
Second
Give
place
it to him.
trophy. Hey, we'll take it. We'll take it.
It's better than the third place trophy. Yeah, I mean, I was impressed by Fulham in this one. It wasn't the best performance, but just able to hang around. If you give yourself a chance, you know.
Yeah, I was really impressed. Defensively, they looked really sound when they just opted for the low block.
You got to apologize to Tim Ream. You got a lot of apologies.
I thought Cabana was excellent. He's creating havoc on the wing.
He's solid for, I don't know, he's kind of like a midfielder, but also like kind of is like a fullback kind of weird
winger.
hybrid guy, yeah.
And then Mitrovic, I mean, all you can say is like, if the ball's around him, he's got a chance at scoring.
Yeah, he's in fuego right now.
He just bullies people.
Yeah, he's the Serbian Temu Pukki, as Sam would say.
Yeah, if Timo Pukki was like 100 pounds heavier
Yeah.
and instead of being Finnish, he was Serbian.
Yeah, and then a bunch of tattoos.
Yeah. It was a tough win for Arsenal, but they
Grinded
were able
it.
to...
That's the stuff of
Grinded out.
champions.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Man City are the ultimate champions, and there's no way to beat them. So,
That's
second
true.
place.
Now, let me ask you this. This has been a point of contention. Some people felt Arsenal shouldn't have celebrated because it was Fulham. What are your thoughts on that?
Why wouldn't they celebrate? They just won the game.
Exactly. Case closed.
People will complain about Arsenal celebrating last year, and they had a win against Villa down
Yeah.
the stretch.
Yeah.
You know, they got to bring Arsenal down. They can't let Arsenal, who've been out of the Champions League for like 7 years, just enjoy the fact that they're playing well again.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you score a 84th minute winner, how can you not celebrate that?
There should be no emotions running through your body or mind. You should be like a robot and say, all right,
Yeah.
we have 5 minutes left in the game.
Some people are just so ridiculous, terrible pundits. But
Who was that?
I forget who it was.
Keane? Carragher?
I don't think it was
Neville?
one of the big ones. It was
Oh.
one of
Gabby
these-
Igbonlahor from, speaking of
Could've
Gabby
been.
Igbonlahor, Villa, West Ham. Look at Pablo Fornals. Go back to that picture. Look at him. Oh, yeah.
Euphoric. All right. To the lineups for Villa: Martinez, Cash, Konsa, Chambers, Digne, Douglas, Luiz, McGinn, Coutinho, Kamara, Ings, and Watkins.
You know what that sounds like? A team that should have more than like 2 points this year.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's not a bad lineup. For West Ham, Fabianski, Cresswell, Zuma, Kerr, Johnson, Fornals, Soucek, Emerson, Chelsea legend,
Yeah.
Declan Rice, Scamacca, and Jared Bowen.
A lot of Italians in West Ham now. What's going on with that?
Mamma mia.
I mean, they got Di Canio, the ultimate Italian. Now they got these two gabagools.
A little too Italian, if you know what I mean.
It's too Italian.
To the match. Villa opened up the match by controlling the possession and were able to maintain that through most of the half. They struggled to break down West Ham's new look system of a back three, dropping into a back five at times. Their best chance of the half came through a well-worked corner kick routine that was disallowed because the ball went out of play.
Yeah, that was
On
brutal.
the corner kick. Unlucky. First half was really just kind of poor, especially for West Ham. Didn't have that much of the ball. Neither side looked really threatening in attack at all. I mean, Villa have their moments where they look okay, but it's like once they get to the box, they kind of run out of ideas and don't know what to do. And they're super narrow because they don't play with like wingers. They just are like, okay, we're all going to stand within the width of the 18-yard box. And then there's no space. So,
Well, that's the thing. Villa like to play wide when they're approaching the defensive third for the opponents, and then once they get there, it's just all north and south. There's no east or west. It's like they leave the space open in case like Coutinho or Leon Bailey need to use it, but
it doesn't
I don't know.
happen.
Or they have to drop it back for Cash or Digne to swing balls in. I feel like the concept of Villa isn't that hard to understand with their squad. Their fullbacks will get up, and they should have either McGinn or Luiz or Kamara kind of working as pivots to cover. It really shouldn't be that hard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they make it this hard on themselves.
Yeah, and
They have some guys who can win headers in the box, and Ings and Watkins. Not like
Right.
amazing, headers of the ball or anything, but guys who in their time have been able to win headers.
Yeah, and I think Villa's system works best when the fullbacks are getting on the ball high up the pitch. And in this one, I mean, their fullbacks most of the time weren't joining the attack. It was just kind of like an isolated, throw the ball up long and hope someone can get onto the second ball. But
I think Villa, if it really comes down to it, I think their best formation would be a 4-4-2, where you are going with fairly defensive-minded midfield that allows either, probably not McGinn that much, but mainly Kamara or Douglas Luiz to drop back as the pivot, so you can get those fullbacks further forward. Because it just feels like having attack-minded fullbacks and having Leon Bailey doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
I think I'd say 3-5-2, but I don't think they have the center back depth.
No, they don't. They
do it.
absolutely do not, especially with Diego Carlos out now.
Yeah. Anyways, going on to the second half. West Ham opened the second half with an uptick of energy as they switched to a back four, kind of going away from their new system. Brought on Ben Rama for an additional attacker. And they broke the deadlock in the 74th minute as Fornal's long-range effort took a big deflection from Konsa, found its way into the back of the net for the first goal of the season for West Ham.
Congratulations.
Pretty brutal.
It was great because it won me money.
Yes. Villa responded by making attacking substitutions in search of an equalizer, but West Ham's defense held strong to earn their first 3 points of the campaign. By far,
West Ham, I knew you could come through.
definitely not a convincing performance from West Ham, but, they were like last place, so a win's a win, I suppose.
It feels like everything's going against Villa right now in terms of they bring it on themselves, but everyone kind of piling pressure on and stuff. It feels like it's kind of crumbling. West Ham, for whatever reason, even though they haven't played well, they haven't played bad, but they haven't played as well as they had last year. It feels like it's just a matter of time before it turns for them, and it's kind of turning a bit. We'll get to their other game this week, but they're definitely playing a little better. I feel like there was a lot of bad luck, especially that Nottingham Forest game. That was about as bad luck Brian as you can get of
Yeah.
a performance.
That was like a classic newly promoted team at home. Goalkeeper stands on their head, and you have like
But,
three
not
shots hit
even-
off the post. And
Yeah,
go out.
that's the main thing is they went bar down twice and
Yeah.
they both stayed out.
See the
like,
post, dude. What is happening to the post? The post. Someone's like changed
They're
the
putting
the
some
poles on
they're
the
pu-
post.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're putting some kind of chemicals in the ball that the polarity of the ball will
Yes.
bounce at a certain trajectory and it stays out rather than in.
Right. There's magnets or something.
Yep, exactly. The solar wind pocket
It-
of fields.
the thermal wind flare hits off the goal, the white paint, deflecting the visible spectrum of light and deflects the
They
ball
use Sherwin-Williams
to the polarity
paint
of
as opposed to
magnets.
Valspar paint on the post. And this-
eggshell. Yeah.
moving on. Wolves, Newcastle. Talk about it.
But I digress.
But you ain't ready for that conversation.
You're not ready to take the red pill, as the kids would say.
Talking about a red pill. We're talking about Red Pill FC Newcastle out here. Wolves, we got Saw, Nathan Collins, Johnny, Otto, Nelson Semedo, Max Killman, Ruben Neves, Matthias Nunes, João Montinho, Pedro Neto, Raul Jimenez, and Gonçalo Guedes.
Great Portuguese.
Thank you. Nick Pope, very Portuguese. Kieran Trippier, Sven Botman, Fabian Scher, Dan Byrne, Joelinton, Willock, Longstaff, Shea Maximan, Chris Wood, and Miguel Almiron. Newcastle attacking early in this one. They work out a mad scramble that results in a Joe Willock shot, but it goes wide. There's a shirt pull on Longstaff, which some question about it. I don't think it should have been given. Wolves this year, they're in love with turning the ball over for no reason when building out of the back. They like get off on it. It makes no sense. It's like sometimes you just have to clear the ball. You just have to hoof it out of bounds.
That is true.
And they're like, actually, you know what? I'm in my 6-yard box. Let me dribble out real quick. And it's like, no. Wolves come alive around 25 minutes or so. Nunes with a great chance. Can't get the header on target. Wolves possess for the next 10 minutes or so. Out of nowhere. Ruben Neves, banger. What else is new? He's playing amazing this year. I thought he would have a Tielemans kind of drop off because he just like is like, I want to get out of here, but
yeah.
he's like playing hard to keep up his value.
Yeah, like on one hand, it's surprising that no team's kind of worrying after him, but on the other hand, it's like he'd probably cost so much it doesn't matter.
What do you think, 50? They
I
probably originally asked for like 60, 65, but I think
I'd
you
say
get away with
60.
like, I think you can get away with like 50, 55.
I think 60.
You just have to be the right team calling.
That's true.
They're not going to sell to, you know, a team like Arsenal that celebrates beating Fulham.
That's true.
Second half, early VAR check for a red. Fabian Scher right above the ankle with studs up. It was an orange for me. I got to be honest. I don't know if you'd send him off there. It's kind of far out, and it wasn't super high up the leg, but the studs were up, so I could get the point.
Yeah.
Trying to make. Nathaniel Collins almost own goals from a Newcastle cross. Newcastle just played a lot better this half in possession.
I like how you called him Nathaniel.
Yeah. What else do you call him? Nathan?
Nathan.
No, Nathaniel. We keep it classy.
You're serious.
Yeah. Newcastle a lot better this half. Just in terms of possession and kind of going forward, holding the ball. Also, part of that's just Wolves kind of trying to, hold on to what they had. With that said, Wolves counterattack chances. They like to do that this year. Neto, good chance. Pope saves. But after 65 minutes on, it was all Newcastle. Boltman had a good chance to head it. But there was one good Wolves chance to seal it with a 3-on-1, and Raul scores, but he's off. and even did the pirate eye patch celebration and everything.
Unlucky, mate.
And after that, you knew Newcastle were going to come down and score. And who is it?
Say Mac, say Mac.
Undoing.
What a goal. Absolute perfect volley. But you have to question what Hwang Hee-chan was doing with that clearance. Clearing it from like the far left corner of the box all the way to like the right corner of the box. Brutal.
Never do that, ever.
Across the box clearances.
Yeah,
what is
please don't.
going through your mind, sir?
Ugh.
Brutal. Finishes 1-1. Solid result for Newcastle. Wolves may never win a game. I'm convinced.
Yeah, they're just
It's
gonna
self-sabotage.
They're just gonna get so many draws, and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
They are set up to draw games.
Yeah. They truly are. The last match of the week, we have Nottingham Forest
Sorry,
and
I
Tottenham Hotspur.
got a little ahead of myself.
Well, I remember the lineups off the top of my head perfectly.
I don't even know where
You're so far ahead.
No, I'm right here.
You're so far ahead.
So far.
So far.
You're so far. You're a freaking hoser, man.
You're so far ahead, you don't even
You're a
know.
hoser. I'm going to take you to the hockey
This
pond.
is now a Canadian Premier League podcast.
So I was watching the Vancouver Forest over here, and we had old Joe Worrell slinging the puck around.
Dean Henderson, Steve Cook, Joe Worrell, Scott McKenna, Nico Williams, Lewis O'Brien, Harry Toffolo, Ryan Yates, Morgan Gibbs-White, the 50-pound man.
The 50-pound?
Yeah. 50,
that's a pretty good bargain.
Well, 50 pounds is,
Chicky 50 quid.
he's pretty light. Jesse Lingard, Jay Lings,
Jaylings.
Brennan Johnson. Jay Lings is 29. He acts like he's 18.
Yeah. It's the TikToks.
For Tottenham, Lloris, Davison Sanchez, Eric Dyer, Ben Davies, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Emerson Royale, Ivan Perisic, Rodrigo Betancourt, Heung-min Son, Harry Kane, Dejan Kulusevski. To the lineups again.
One more time.
If you get tired, a long day at work. that's the ultimate. My mind is fried. This one, Nottingham Forest, they might just have like high energy this entire season. They might just at home games.
At home.
Yeah.
Asterisk.
Yes, at home. The crowd was roaring. The players were just pressing out of their minds. Tottenham was pinned in. With that said, Tottenham finally break the press about 6 minutes in and score on their very first chance because that's what Tottenham do. Great run by Kulusevski and a great pass as well to Harry Kane. Can't be understated how amazing Kulusevski's been for them since they got him. After that goal, Forrest creating the chances and holding the ball. I can't believe Tottenham are so shameless that they'll sit back against Nottingham Forest.
Ugh. That is rough.
Tottenham counterattack and Harry Kane one-on-one, but a great Joe Worrell tackle saves the effort from even being put on net. Heung-min Son, been struggling this year, had a chance go high over the bar. Tottenham having to pack the box and block shots against Nottingham Forest is what it got to before the end of the first half. Parking the bus against Nottingham Forest.
That is not okay.
But this is what we're talking about with, United. They grind out wins and we're like, I
feel like if any other team does this out of like the big six, they'll just get like lambasted for it.
Yeah.
But since it's Tottenham, they kind of are like off the side.
I don't think City would get blamed that much if they did this. But they would never be in a position to where they'd have to park the bus.
Yeah, that's just weird to think about.
Nottingham Forest, big counterattack chance, but Lloris clears it. So it goes to halftime 1-0. Second half, pen for Tottenham. Another handball by Nottingham Forest. Tactical handballs by Nottingham Forest. Big save for Dean Henderson. The hat's off Selly.
Let's go.
Hyping up the crowd with the hat off, waving it around. Nico Williams, massive chance. He's been good for them this year so far, but
yeah.
He was not able to take that volley chance. Tottenham dangerous on the counter, so much space, but really, really can't take advantage through 70 minutes. But eventually, with about 10, 15 minutes to spare, Tottenham finally get a second on the counterattack. Nottingham Forest just gave up. I don't know what other way to describe it, but Harry Kane was wide open by himself. Heads it in for the brace. 2-0 Tottenham. Tottenham well on their way to grinding a second, potentially third place finish out this season. I don't know what to tell you.
They're doing and it's not pretty.
I knew this is how their season would go. They're not great, but they do just enough. It's kind of like Liverpool last year, except Liverpool at least,
played an entertaining style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the end of match week 4.
Sure is.
Match week 5.
Our first midweek games of the
How
season.
about that? We start off Palace, Brentford. The other lineups: Guaita, Ward, Gahey, Anderson, Klein, Olise, Etze, Zaha, Schlupp, Doucouré, and Mateta getting the start over Edouard. For Brentford, we have Raya, Hickey, Henry, me, Zanka, Jensen, Baptiste, Yano, Tony, and Buemo. Keane Lewis Potter start.
Get in.
He got that assist last week, and Thomas Frank's like, I see, young fella.
Yes.
Here comes the start. Brentford possessing in this game. Crystal Palace, very reminiscent of last year. Anytime they get the ball, they're just trying to go fast. They're just trying to run right at you.
You love to see it.
Both defenses doing a good job closing space really, really fast in the final third. So a lot of times the attacking was able to push through the midfield and stuff, but once it got to each team's defense or final third, not much the attack could do because the defense was swarming in this one. Second half, tough, physical game. People putting bodies on bodies all over the pitch. Brentford struggling to get it out of their end at times, especially this half. And we get a goal. Assist for the new man, Doucouré, but it's Crystal Palace's man, who was rumored with a potential move away in the final day, but he stays, and it's massive for Palace. Wilfried Zaha, what a goal.
It just wouldn't be right to see him play for any other team at this point.
Yeah, well, he grew up a Palace lad. He went away United, tried that, didn't work out. He's like, I'm just going to stick at Palace. And you know what? They've done right by him. He's done right by them.
True.
So it's 1-0 Palace. After that, it's very much like the first half, kind of back and forth action. Olise, a good chance at 75 minutes to seal it after a good tackle was won. And the run from the halfway line to the Brentford box all by himself, but unable to do so. And then Ben Mee almost equalized on a side volley from this inside the 6-yard box. It went probably a good half a foot over the crossbar, but it would have been something if he would have hit it. Then, out of nothing, Brentford go and grab a point. It's that man, Wissa, the clutchest man alive. Heads a deflected ball. It was just crazy.
He's got like a FIFA boost. It's like last 15 minutes of the game.
Clutchest man alive.
Clutch trait.
Yes.
Plus 10 to all skills.
Then a bunch of chances in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Zaha had a great chance in added time on the counterattack. Enrico Henry had one as well. But the ultimate chance at the end was Ben Mee off the crossbar at the death.
Goal scorer Ben Mee? Unfortunately not.
1-1 it finishes. Solid game. This had the potential to be the first ever meeting between two clubs where the first 3 Premier League matches end up 0-0 coming into this one. The last 2 matches last year, both 0-0. This one had a chance. Got to halftime 0-0.
So then their next match is going to be 1-1, and then they go 2-2,
yeah,
2-2, 3-3, 3-3.
Eventually we'll reach the double 4-4s, and then one of them will be relegated, surely.
Surely. Yeah.
Good game, good performance for Palace. Again, Brentford turning losses into draws. That's why I was surprised that Fulham game they weren't able to hold on. But
yeah. Speaking of Fulham,
Uh-oh.
Fulham versus Brighton.
Can anyone stop Brighton? They're too hot.
Can anyone stop Fulham?
It's the
Other than
immovable, the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. Craven Cottage, Fulham versus Brighton and Hove Albion.
Yes. Lineups: Leno, Tete, Tosin, Ream, Robinson, Reed, Cabano, Cordova, Reed, Pereira, Polina,
De Cordova Reed to you.
Mitrovic. So, they're same lineup that they roll.
Maybe they're the new West Ham.
Maybe.
A team that just has like zero depth and they're like, whatever.
Doesn't matter. Don't need depth when you only
When
play
you have
11
Mitrovic,
players.
when you got Serbs.
They've been to the Tom Thibodeau school of
Yeah, you just run your
rotation.
team ragged. Run your team ragged.
For Brighton, Sanchez, Webster, Dunk, Veltman, March, Mwepu, McAllister, Caicedo, Parvis, Estupinan, Trossard,
Parvis.
and Gross into the match. Not much to separate the sides after the first half. The only chance of the game coming early from a corner for Fulham. Neither team created any chances, and they need to be better in the second half. It was just not a good half. It was one of those midweek games where it just...
The best chance is like Solly March and he hits it like a whole foot and a half wide of the post. And
Yeah.
you're like, okay.
Yeah,
What did I just watch? Nothing? Okay.
pretty much. Second half, Fulham don't take very long to score in the second half. They scored shortly after a corner. Cabano playing a nice ball cross to who else other than Mitrovic? I mean, the guy can not stop scoring.
He's an animal.
I thought De Cordova Reed impacted the play from an offside position, but nothing was given.
Yeah, I thought that too, but what can you do when you're Fulham? You get those calls at Craven Cottage.
Apparently, those aren't called anymore. They were called for like 2 games. Yeah. Less than 10 minutes later, a poor giveaway from Estupinan again
Bardavis.
in midfield led to a Fulham counterattack that ended in Pereira's pass being put into the back of the net by
Not
Lewis
much a
Dunk.
Lewis Dunk could do on that one.
No, it was a tough position.
Yep.
And just a couple minutes later, Brighton was awarded a penalty after a VAR review showed Bobby De Cordova Reed
He took a good whack at him.
kicking Estupinan in the box. I mean, he had no idea that he was there, but he did kick him very hard.
Bobby Reed was winding up, and then Pervis quickly scampered right in front of him.
Yes.
And he took that kick right to the back of his leg and went,
Yeah, pretty much. Taking one for the team. McAllister steps up, converts the pen. That man scores all his
he might
pens.
be the new pen merchant.
True. Brighton made 3 attacking subs, but Fulham was able to hold them off for the final 20 minutes to secure all 3 points.
Unbelievable.
Fulham, wow.
What a club.
Who would have thought? They can
Not
even
us.
beat Brighton.
Not us.
Brighton, who are just on fire, but Fulham is on fire.
Craven Cottage is OP.
The cottage is OP. It possesses magical powers. On to the next game.
Oh,
Southampton
yes. The Hank
versus
Darby.
Chelsea.
Look at Hans right now. What is he doing with his one hand? He's making like a grabbing.
I don't want to be a chicken. I don't want to be a duck.
You should get Adam Armstrong's hair. Just straight down.
Yeah.
To the lineups. We could click it. Yep, there we go.
See, I thought I was click because my
Bazunu, Walker Peters, Perot, Salisu, bottle of ketchup, who I did not know is German. I just realized that now. We're like 4 games in. Ward Prowse, Adam Armstrong, El Nuesi, Diallo, Lavia, Shea Adams. For Chelsea, Ed Mendy, not to be confused with Ben Mendy. Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, Dave, Cucurella, Jorginho, Loftus-Cheek, Mount, Ziyech, Sterling, and Havertz. So some rotation out of Chelsea. No Reece James. He's sick. Did not make the trip. Into the game. Back and forth early, but Southampton looking the better side. Chelsea, counter-check chance on 15, but scuffed by none other than Hakeem Ziyech, who might be the ultimate, like, has to play, or he's just, like, brutally terrible. Like, he has to be in form, or he's, like, unplayable. Chelsea look dangerous once their link-up play is going. and they finally get it going. Raheem Sterling gets a goal through some solid build-up play. Somehow Mason Mount didn't get an assist on it, but what are you going to do? Raheem Sterling tucks away 1-0. And Southampton, they're the comeback kids. This is why I was surprised that they didn't come back against United, but I feel like they're more unlucky than anything not to.
They tried.
Yes. So they're coming back, definitely looking strong in attack. Another note here, Sam. Adam Armstrong, he looks good.
Hey, I was a day one Adam Armstrong.
We were both. I'm all in on Southampton. I think they're the club of the future.
That's true. You were day one Southampton.
Chelsea concede a corner.
Club of the future, by the way. I need a T-shirt. Southampton, Club of the future.
Chelsea concede a corner. Just poor. This is what happens with Chelsea for whatever reason. It's like one thing goes wrong and they like crap all over themselves. Dave puts it out. Could have passed it back to Mendy and just hoof it downfield. Puts it out for a corner. And then off the ensuing corner, Dave cannot clear the ball very well. Falls to Lavia, rockets it, far post, 1-1, and Southampton's comeback is on. And then right before half, Southampton, amazing dribbling and passing sequence. Poor levels of defense from Chelsea. The gap between their defense and midfield was so massive. Adam Armstrong able to find perfect amount of space about 10 yards out in the box. Slots it, slight deflection, but it was on target anyways. 2-1 Southampton right before the half. Second half, Cucurella goal line block on El Nuesi as Southampton almost add a third. Chelsea get more into the game as the half goes on. Kai Havertz, free header, 65th minute, and puts it about a foot over the bar. Another goal line clearance, this time by Thiago Silva on Southampton. Nice little flick as it's going in. It just felt like a lot of Chelsea's attack was either Raheem Sterling or nothing, which makes sense because normally it's Sterling or James or nothing. Scramble at the end for Chelsea, but Southampton clear it, hold strong, get the 3 points. Massive win for Southampton. More points dropped for Chelsea.
Oh, man. And it's funny, too, because there's been talks about, like, oh, yeah, we're thinking about renewing Tuchel's contract.
See, this is what I was thinking about, and I wanted to pose this to you as an Arsenal supporter. Would you rather have it to where they have structure and they say, no, we believe in our manager and we're going to spend a ton for him, even if it's ridiculous amounts, because he asked for it? Mm-hmm. Or would you have, because I was reading this week, would you rather have Tuchel sacked and you just bring in another manager, plug and play, Abramovich style pretty much, where you're like, we'll spend crazy money once in a while, but not all the time. And if you can't get the job done to meet our expectations, you're out. Because I read this week that a guy close to Chelsea who has ties to Abramovich still says that Abramovich would have sacked Tuchel by this past summer.
Doesn't surprise me. I think I'm of the opinion, like, if you have a manager that you don't believe in enough that you are willing to back him financially, why is he still at the club?
But that's the thing is, this new ownership, they do believe in Tuchel.
Yeah.
But a guy like Abramovich, who had success with Chelsea and stuff,
right,
clearly didn't have faith in him.
And I'm saying, if you do believe in him, then I got no problem with you backing him in the transfer window, because you should.
Yeah. I think Chelsea's so used to having it this style and having so much success that way that it's kind of like, it's alarming and kind of concerning to be like, oh, we're putting faith in this guy, in Tuchel? Are we sure? Because they never have that. You just find a different world-class manager, and they're like, oh, they can patch it together.
Right, which isn't a very sustainable method.
Well, you say that, but Chelsea has a couple Europa Leagues, couple Champions Leagues, couple Premier Leagues in the last decade. Couple FA Cups.
You make a good point. Yes, that is true. That is true.
But
things are changing.
It's Chelsea's really like if Watford could actually get stuff right.
Or Watford had a lot of money.
Watford's like the Skid Row version of Chelsea, realistically. Yeah. They're just like, we'll just sack this guy and bring in a new guy.
They're like Chelsea on meth.
Yeah, the Skid Row version. They're a homeless version of Chelsea.
They're like We won't just sack our manager. We're going to sack our manager 4 times in a season.
Yes. They're like, let's ramp it up even more.
To
More
the
sacking.
extreme.
Yes. But I just thought that was interesting because, I mean, that's all Chelsea's known for
Yeah.
the entire time that they've been super, super successful.
Yeah, it's win or see you later.
Yeah.
But things are different now. It's not
It's
Abramovich.
Todd Bowley's time.
Now you got Todd Bowley coming in here signing guys to 7-year-long contracts.
That's a smart decision. Smart decision.
Great idea. I mean, you look at Chelsea, they've never been known to have guys who just are like
Shitters
a
of
leech on the
transfers.
club and don't
Yeah.
do anything, and you can't get rid of them.
Just shitter.
That's
of
never
transfer.
happened.
No,
No.
never. Imagine if they signed like Bakayoko to a 7-year deal.
Exactly. That's my thought process. Is like Todd Bowley, you think you can just come in and Americanize the Premier League, start giving people 7-year contracts?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Enjoy Bakayoko on 7 years.
Yeah, well,
That'll be
he's
the
not
last
on-
time you hand out a 7-year contract.
It might be Fofana this go around.
You can't just like cut a guy like in the NFL and be like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
You're stuck with the guy, and you have to figure out.
What are you talking about? They're doing buyouts for Ross Barkley and who else this week? They bought someone else out.
Yeah, with 1 year left on the contract.
Yeah, well, Todd Bowley, he throws money around like a madman, apparently.
Yeah, and the transfers have been a little
Yeah.
zany.
Yeah.
A little zany.
You could see why a man of my stature and caliber would prefer something like Abramovich more than what's going on.
I already can't stand Todd Bowley. The way he talks, the way he acts.
I've never heard him.
I'm more so saying in like the content of his words, not his words themselves. I think there was something that really
Well, he owns the
bothered me.
Dodgers. And I know you hate the Dodgers.
Well, this is also true.
This might be a conversation for a different podcast.
That's true. We got a lot of games.
Yeah, let's move on.
All right, next game. Leeds versus Everton. 2 teams of chaos. Lineups, Melia, Cook, Llorente.
Chaos FC
Strike.
1, Chaos FC 2.
True. Christensen, Aronson, Roca, Harrison, Adams, Sinister getting the start, and Rodrigo. For Everton, Pickford, Tarkowski, Patterson, Mikolenko, Cody, Onana, Iwobi, Tom Davies. The man just keeps getting started. Dwight McNeil.
Is he like Frank Lampard's long-lost son, or what's going on there?
I think so. Anthony Gordon and Damari Gray.
It'd be funny if he came back one year and like they gave someone else like his kit number, so he came back like number like 43 or something like that. They're like, yeah, we had to move you down in the ranks and we let someone else take 26.
It kind of felt like that's where he'd be at this point. It seemed like he was on the outside looking in, but apparently he's like,
I'm
First
surprised
name
he's
on the
not
team
at like
sheet.
Sheffield or West Brom or something.
yeah, true. Leeds started the game well, dominating the possession through the first 15 minutes. But it was Everton who scored the first goal through some nice link-up play between Gordon, McNeil, and Iwobi, leading to a goal from the 110 million pound man.
His
Anthony
price
Gordon.
keeps going up. The price just got 10 mil higher.
Poor defending from Diego Llorente.
We haven't said that much this year about Leeds' defense.
That's true. It's been not
It's been
bad.
better.
Not bad. Yeah, compared to what it was. Leeds continued to push hard for the equalizer in the first half.
Although part of that, real quick,
Yes,
is having a guy like Tyler Adams in there versus
100%.
Mr. Forshaw.
100%. Leeds were pushing for the equalizer in the first half, but unable to create many chances. Everton frustrated Leeds, especially Pickford. He was taking his sweet time
Yeah.
on the goal.
Oh,
kicks.
this whole time wasting conversation this week has got me triggered. People acting like it's a new thing.
Yes.
Like teams haven't been unironically time wasting in the first half for like as long as we've watched the Premier League.
Yes.
We'll get to that with Liverpool and Newcastle.
Yeah. And Emi Martinez goes into halftime 1-0. Everton lead. A little bit of a feisty affair again. I mean, we're talking about Leeds. Every game is feisty.
We all love Leeds.
They opened up the second half with a couple of great chances for Aronson and Harrison, but neither can find the back of the net.
The Suns.
Finally, in the 55th minute, Leeds get their goal through Sinistera. Kind of takes a pop shot from outside the box, catches Pickford off guard, and he can't get to it. Perfectly placed.
I like him. I still feel like he could be the Rafinha. Maybe not this year quite yet, but like when he develops, I feel like he could be of that tier. Now, we don't rate Rafinha as high as other people, so some people would think that's like crazy, but I think he could be like a really solid creative wing guy that creates like 10 to 15 goals a year for a Premier League team.
Tensions boiled over, and Gordon and Christensen go head-to-head with one another.
You want to go against the blonde bombshell, Mr. Christensen, after you got clocked in the head by Jose Sa week 1? I don't even think you're comprehending what you're doing right now.
There was a little dust-up between the benches, as always, with Jesse Marsh.
Yeah, the American aggression. The Alpha America aggression. AAA.
Yes. Despite having little of the ball, it was Everton who had the better chances of scoring. Gray thought he scored in the 66th minute, but it was just offside, and Onana nearly scored after a scramble in the box, but Christensen made a vital block.
Your guy, Onana.
Patterson had the chance to get the winner, but, fullback on the breakaway doesn't always work out.
No.
Didn't there. Ends 1-1. Points are shared. High energy match. Very entertaining one to watch. If this was last season, this match probably would have been god awful.
Yeah. No, I'm telling you, Everton are not that bad to watch. I can't believe I'm saying it.
But
people act like they're still really shit. It's kind of like how people were just not aware of Stevie G being bad, and then it got to the point where people are like, oh, look at this guy, and it's like, yeah, anyone with a fucking brain's seen that for a while now.
Yeah.
Now with Everton, people are still like, oh, Everton suck. Huh? It's like they're not that bad. They're not that bad.
They just needed to get rid of Richarlison, apparently.
Yeah. Zig and zag, and we're zagging for Everton. Everton, this is your redemption arc.
Back this club.
Club of the future.
Club of the future. Certified.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, it was a fun match. Both teams are playing with some good energy.
Yeah.
Leeds, I like what they're cooking.
Loaning out Dan James to Fulham. They have any other notable
That
moves?
made me sad.
What do you mean? He's going to Craven Cottage. He's going to find his form.
It just makes me sad that Dan James keeps falling to teams lower and lower in the table.
Yeah.
I like Dan James.
Yeah, I just don't think he's very good, unfortunately. That's how it is.
It pains me. I think he's good in the right kind of like a niche system.
Okay.
That he wasn't used at Leeds.
We'll see.
We'll see. Player of the future? No. Yeah.
What's the next match?
And moving on to the next match, we got... this was the match of the week.
If you go on NBC Sports to watch the highlights of this, it has it as the video is 8 minutes long, and it takes about 3 minutes to get into the actual game.
Oh, boy, you believe me, because I watched this match. Lineups, Neto in net.
Yeah, the Brazilian, the former...
The Barca man himself.
Yeah, Barca and Juventus man himself.
And Bournemouth.
What are you going to do? I like Mark Travers myself.
I do too. I mean, I don't know why you got to bench him. It wasn't his fault.
You got a stunt on him. This new manager had to make an
this
impact.
Interim manager.
What's his name? He looks like a weasel.
Does it say?
It doesn't. Whatever. We'll look it up later.
It doesn't matter. But the funny thing, they said this guy has never taken charge of any senior match.
Nice.
Not even like academy, nothing. The most he was like an assistant for like an under 18 match or something.
This is a Ted
it's
Lasso
like, all right, throw
kind of
this guy in there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's wild. Yeah, we'll get to it at the end of the game, but I'll let you run through everything.
Kelly, Meffam, Smith, Zamora, Cook, Lerma, Christie, Tavernier, Solanke, Phil Billing. Drop my guy, Kiefer Moore, who's like the hardest working player on the team.
Phil Billing has to be in there, but
absolutely. Absolutely.
I think you probably get away with no Lewis Cook.
Yeah.
Working Christie back in the side. We'll see.
I like Christie too.
He's solid.
For Wolves, Saw, Collins, Nathaniel Collins at that.
No.
Johnny Otto. Semedo, Kilman, Neves, Nunes, Moutinho, Neto.
What is that picture of João Moutinho? They have a stock photo of
He's
him
walking away.
off the field.
We got Neto, so this is the Neto derby.
Oh, no.
Jimenez and Guedes.
Gonçalo Guedes.
I've learned from you.
Guedes.
Bruno Fernandes. Wolves, once again, finding themselves in a familiar situation where they dominate the possession but have like zero focal point in attack.
Hey, man, they hit the crossbar.
They did hit the crossbar through Nunes, and then Neto had a chance. The winger Neto, not the goalkeeper Neto. Unable to find the back of the net. Bournemouth didn't look that bad, and I don't think Bournemouth are that bad, and I don't think Scott Parker should have been sacked.
Yeah.
Like they had good energy going forward.
No.
And I was like, I kind of enjoy this. This is fun.
I just hate the fact they got rid of our guy.
I
can't forgive him.
I can't either. It just feels like what could have been. Like, why did you have to do that so soon? There's no reason to.
Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. Halftime 0-0. Second half, Bournemouth starting off the second half brightly, but failed to create any real chances. Wolves mounted a late push to take all 3 points, with chances coming from Jimenez on a 1-on-1 with the keeper, and Podence with a diving header that was cleared off the line. Bournemouth pick up a point.
That Jimenez one was brutal.
And Wolves draw again. That is a pretty rough draw for Wolves. You gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, Bournemouth clearly have a manager with no experience, and they're down in the dumps after losing 9-0. And you come out here and you lay an absolute stinker out there. The only guy that looks good for me right now at the moment for Guedes actually isn't that bad. But the only guy that really looks good right now for Wolves is Neves for me. Everyone else I could take or leave.
I was going to say that Nunes has shown flashes.
Yeah. He's fine.
He's
see.
fine. He's
got
fine.
to be better.
Okay. Harsh critic out here.
50 million pounds.
It's true. It's
They
early.
pretty much swapped him for Gibbs White.
Yeah.
But
We'll see
yeah,
how
no,
that
it is
turns out.
early. I'm sure he'll get better as the
Early
season goes
days.
along. But I at least like their midfield dynamic a little more than last year. It feels more sustainable because you're not nearly as reliant on João Moutinho.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
Maybe there's something.
This is what I was gonna say about this one before I let you talk.
Yes.
The announcers like crapping their pants that Bournemouth kept a clean sheet in this game. Like, first off, they're not completely like brain dead terrible.
Yeah.
Second off, you're playing Wolves. Like, they're notorious for
can't
not
score.
scoring. What are you talking about?
True.
They're like, have Bournemouth respond by coming out and keeping a clean sheet. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah? Is that crazy? Against Wolves? I don't know. What were you going to say?
I was just gonna say I like this team. They're overmatched, obviously. They're not long for the Premier League, but I enjoy watching them. It's a shame they had to sack Scott Parker because it was completely unwarranted.
They're not worthy of the Premier League. They're worthy of getting 18th and staying up by like a point now.
I still have enjoyed watching, like you said, Travers is good. He might not be playing anymore, but I
want to
like
see
him.
a little more out of Tavernier when they play these teams that aren't like high up
Yeah.
the table. I want to see how he adapts to the Premier League. But
I like Christie because he just runs for days.
Yeah, he runs.
And the man is
Celtic man.
passionate. I respect that. Because there was people that were saying like, oh, in the Liverpool match,
Yeah.
Bournemouth look like they don't care. That
I
is
don't-
completely disrespectful to Bournemouth. They just got completely outmatched by Liverpool, and that happens.
Yeah.
But to say that they didn't care, man, those guys were like running their asses
Yeah.
off till the very end.
Yeah, you can't watch that game and say they didn't care.
Yeah.
Liverpool are just like phenomenal that day. Like
Right.
what?
And
You can
that-
tell when a team doesn't care.
Right. And
No, I
that
didn't
was
see that.
definitely not that.
I did not see people saying that.
Super disrespectful. So I'm putting a kibosh to that.
What's the next game?
Next game.
Arsenal
versus Aston Villa.
You're getting all yours out of the way.
The lineups. Ramsdale, Tierney, White, Gabriel, Saliba, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, Lokonga. And for the injured El Neni,
Yes.
Xhaka, Gabby Jesus.
You know what I learned about watching All or Nothing Arsenal is that Mohamed El Neni's a big game player, or self-proclaimed big game player.
Absolutely. They don't call him Pyramid Pirlo for nothing. Love that
Yes.
man.
That's such a great line when you said that.
I love that man. Martinez, Cash, Konsa, Mings, Digne, McGinn, Ramsey, Kamara, Buendia, Watkins, and Leon Bailey.
CVG, he's throwing the sink out there. He's trying every lineup.
He threw the sink, but the sink crashed and burned.
I
Arsenal.
don't know if a sink can burn, but...
Oh,
They
I've
put
seen Hell's
gasoline.
Kitchen. I'd seen a sink on fire.
Oh, no, but I'm talking about like a marble ceramic sink. That's the kind
I
of
mean,
sink
the
Bill
sink
is.
itself is not on fire, but the contents of the sink are on fire.
That's fair.
Arsenal dominated the first half, controlling the possession, limited Aston Villa to very little in attack, often only a long ball up to Ollie Watkins. Despite having all the possession and chances, Arsenal weren't able to get the ball over the line until the 30th minute after Xhaka's deflected cross forces Martinez into a save, which falls kindly to Gabby Jesus, who scores. They push a little more in the first half, not able to get a second goal. Goes into halftime 1-0. Second half, Arsenal continued to apply pressure in search of a second goal, and Villa started to get back into the game, started to get a little more possession, and it ultimately led to them scoring a goal, which was completely illegitimate from the corner kick, where Kamara
Illegitimate.
stopped the count. Kamara was boxing out Ramsdale.
You can do that these days.
and Douglas Luiz scored directly from the corner kick. How that doesn't get ruled off, I don't know.
It didn't even get checked, did it? Or did it?
I think it got checked, but
By the VAR official, not by the regular.
yeah. Darren England said, "Oh, looks fine to me."
90% of the time when
Cheers, Darren.
when they give those up, it's like, how can they not, like, even if it's clearly not like a clear cut one, like, you should have to send the ref over there, but they never do. I don't get it.
Yeah, obviously a foul. Ridiculous for that to be given.
Wrong. You're wrong.
That was wrong.
No, you're wrong.
I was like dead set. I was like, I know exactly who the VAR referee. It's Paul Tierney. And then I was like, oh no, it's Darren England.
Wow.
Arsenal wasted no time to grab a second goal as Saka found Martinelli at the back post, who was able to get a shot past Martinez, kind of an acrobatic finish in a way. And then Arsenal hold on for the 2-1 win to make it 5 out of 5. It was harder than it should have been,
Yep.
but they got the job done.
They did.
Speaking of time wasting, Emi Martinez, that man time wastes like no other.
What can you say?
Moving on to the next match. Manchester City.
My boy. I might dibs all our Man City games.
I
from now on.
might say that Haaland is my guy.
Are we sure that City isn't full of soul now that they have my boy Erlings? The lineups: Ederson, Walker, Diaz, Stones, Cancelo, Julian Alvarez start, Gundogan, Rodri, Silva, Foden, Erling Haaland. Erling Proud Haaland. For Forest, Henderson, Worrell, Williams, Kouyaté, McKenna, Lodi on loan from Atletico Madrid, Lewis O'Brien, Ryan Yates, Remo Freuler, Morgan Gibbs-White, and Brennan Johnson. What the hell's wrong with Atletico? They loan out their good fullback, and they're like, what if we just bought crap?
Regulon.
Yeah, Reguilon. What if we bought that guy from Tottenham? Who's doing the transfers for Atletico Madrid? More like Pathetico Madrid, am I right?
Boom, roasted.
Yeah, that's right. Man City, dominant from the off. First goal off a short corner and a cross played into the 6-yard box and right at the spot for Erling Haaland. Too big, too strong. What can he do? He's going to box him out every time. Second goal, pulling Nottingham Forest apart with perfect passing and runs after forcing Nottingham Forest turnover in kind of midfield / their own defensive third. And Phil Foden gets an assist to Erling Haaland. How about that? After not passing to him like 6 times earlier this year. And I just have a note about how good City's passing was. Their ability to just ping balls this game just perfectly lofted, great touch. I mean, the passes were damn near perfect every time, but it was just spot on. It was like a clinic out there. First half hat-trick on a sequences of crosses and, headed passes in the box. When you're just dropping headed passes in the box to each other, that's when you know you've reached like the peak. So Haaland, first half hat-trick. Second half, City looking for more, and Nottingham Forest really could not keep up. Joao Cancelo had an amazing blast, upper 90 for a goal. And then Julian Alvarez, gets a brace. The first one just demonstrates City's ability to spread the ball. And then the second was a bit of a lucky deflection that fell to him, but a great touch and just a perfect rip, upper 90. Finishes 6-0. I think I called 4 last week or 5-0, so I underestimated City's ability.
Team for the present and the future.
No, team of the past.
Team of the past. They're well past it.
Yep, 100%. Not much you can take away from this. City's really good. Nottingham Forest, I think they might be like really, really, really bad on the road. That should have been your prediction. They're historically bad on the road.
True.
Because when they don't have the energy in the crowd behind them, it's pretty brutal.
I just think like the team we're seeing now, what's it going to look compared to the team we see at the end of the season? You know, they have so many different players,
true.
It could go any which way.
It'll be tough for Steve Cooper to figure out like what his best team is and what his best formation is because, I mean, he's going to have to mess around with it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Next match, West Ham, Tottenham. Ta-da lineups. Fabianski, Cresswell, Zuma, Shufal, Carragher, as Sam says. Fornells, Bowen, Benrahma, Soucek, Rice, Antonio. That's more proper West Ham football, if you ask me. Tottenham, Lloris, Sanchez, Dyer, Davies, Højbjerg, Royale, Perisic, Bissouma getting a start. Son, Kane, Kulusevski. Starting off, a little bit of controversy. This was a rough game for Peter Banks. I didn't see if anyone was shitting on him, but it was a pretty rough game for him. First off, Tottenham should have had a penalty. I guess this is just a part of the rules now, but I still feel like, I feel like it should be implemented. Kane wins the header in the box. It glances off Cresswell's head and hits his arm, which is above his head.
Yes.
And they said that's not a penalty because it hit Cresswell's head first. I still feel like because it hits his arm and his arm's in a not very natural position, that it should be a penalty.
It's so weird because like there's been other times this season where they're like, oh yeah, it took a deflection, but his hand was in such a weird position or like it was going to stop a goal.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why if it stops a goal then it's a penalty, but otherwise it's not a penalty.
I just think just because it hits Cresswell's head and then his hand, it shouldn't matter. It's a hand ball and his hand was like at his ear / above his head level.
Yeah.
Like that's not normal to have your arm up there.
I'm fine with it when it's like, oh, it takes a deflection and then it hits up off your like knee or something onto your hand, which is mostly by your side. Like I don't have a problem with that not being called a handball.
Yeah.
But if your hand's like way above your head,
it's just goofy, but apparently it doesn't matter. West Ham pinning Tottenham in early. Stop me if you've heard that before, Tottenham being pinned in because they can't play out of the back. Antonio hitting the post on a counterattack. Tottenham, they look dangerous if they can link those passes into the West Ham final third. It's easy to get in the box for them, but they're really struggling in midfield this game. Tottenham able to get a counterattack, and they get an own goal out of it. That's what Tottenham do. They all they can do is counter. They use the Kulusevski and Son pace. And they have Kane and Son or Kulusevski who's never not on the ball. They have them crashing. And they get goals at extremely, insanely high, efficient rates rather. West Ham continue to dominate, winning the ball back often, but they go down in the half down one rip. Second half, Basuma could have got a second yellow. He was already on a yellow for a silly call that Peter Banks made. Shouldn't have been called. Bowen fell over. He I don't even know what happened. He just fell over and he gave Basuma a yellow for a foul and Basuma didn't touch him. But Basuma should have had a second yellow on this challenge, but they didn't give it to him. Kulishevsky, great at pushing and dribbling on this game. Passed a lot of West Ham players. There was a boot change. I had to make a note of this. Højbjerg took at least, it felt like 10 minutes to change his boot. It took so long. Tottenham time wasting.
Can't be doing that.
Hashtag Tottenham time wasting. Bring it to your attention.
Hashtag team of the past.
Team of never. West Ham get it back. Quick throw and hold up play. Sparks a run by Soucek to slot it near post. Really kind of out of nothing. But Tottenham possessed the ball to slow the game down, and they cannot break West Ham down in that second half at all, really. I'll tell you what, West Ham should have won. They had so many chances to win. Tottenham turned the ball over the box. Bowen, great chance, couldn't get on net. Son had a counterattack chance as well, so it should be noted. But Fornal, half a chance on the volley. And then at the very end, I tell you what, Sam.
I tell you what.
Couple dummies. They missed it. It's brutal. But the one at the 94th minute for West Ham, terrible. Terrible, terrible chance missed. Ends 1-1. West Ham should have won. Simple as.
Tottenham, escape.
They're the luckiest team in the league, and it's not even close.
It's true.
1-1. I think West Ham's turning it around. I think that they'll be playing well going forward.
As they say,
Tottenham, if they keep it rolling, what can you do? If they're just efficient in attack and they hold their own in defense, I guess, I can hate all I want, but
the wheels of change turn slowly.
I suppose. Moving on.
Talking about moving slowly.
Liverpool, yeah, they were moving slow in this one. Holy moly. How did Mo Salah win player of the match? Yeah, sure he had 2 assists, but yeah, whatever. Moving on. Liverpool lineups: Alisson, Gomez, Van Dijk, Robertson, Alexander-Arnold, Fabinho, Henderson, Harvey Elliott, Firmino, Salah, Diaz. For Newcastle, Pope, Trippier, Lascelles, Target, Byrne, Joelinton, Willock, Longstaff, Isak, Fraser, Almiron. Liverpool possession, very early and very slow. A lot of passing it around the back four. Taking it very slow. Did not want to get caught up by Newcastle. They saw what Newcastle did to Man City. They're like, we don't need that. Newcastle's first chance is on a free kick, but right at Alisson. Liverpool open up a bit more after this, and Newcastle start to get more into the game once Liverpool does open up. Best Liverpool chance is a threaded through ball to Louis D, and he dribbles Pope, but he cannot get the shot on net. Liverpool lose the ball, and one through ball sends Alexander Isak, the new signing, onto net, and he scores clinically. 1-0 Newcastle.
What a debut.
No shots on target from Liverpool in the first half. So
Not
the
good
slow
enough.
approach was not working. Second half, Newcastle score again, but it's offside. Isak played like it wasn't. Liverpool played like it wasn't. It's a hell of a run, hell of a shot. I don't know how you can call that.
Draw up the lines.
And he's off. Oh, yeah, look there, right there, he's off.
It's so confusing because we've had like 10 of these calls, and it's just a complete coin toss whether they
Yeah.
call it offside or not.
Yeah, I don't get it.
It should just be like if the lines are touching, then it's onside.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Just
know how you can
rule it one
overturn it.
way.
Yeah. Newcastle set up. They just set up, and Liverpool are going to have to break them down. Liverpool will get a chance through Elliott. The build-up play was fast and central, but they eventually get their goal. Liverpool. Bobby Firmino. What are you going to do? He's unstoppable these days. They finally had build-up play, kind of went through the central part of the park, got out wide to Sala, swinging it in the middle of the box. Firmino running right onto it, slots it. 1-1. Newcastle did a great job of holding shape, putting their body on the line, essentially parking the bus against Liverpool. And then once you know it, when there's 95 added minutes and Newcastle bring the ball down to Liverpool's end on the 95th minute, Liverpool are able to go down, takes a whole minute to go down the field, win a corner at the 97th minute, take the corner at the 98th minute, and score the winner. And now people will say with this whole time-wasting thing, yeah, well, Pope wasted 2 minutes in added time by laying on the ground. And does this not happen all the time where teams still time waste and added time and they maybe add like one? They maybe add 1 minute.
That is
they
very
added
true.
3 minutes. That's pretty brutal ref ball, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, that's the problem with the added time system is that it's completely used incorrectly.
Yeah.
They just pick a random number and then they're like, okay, well, yeah, well, okay, we'll add on another 1 minute to that.
And people like Carragher and stuff complaining about the time wasting, being like, "That's what you get. You deserve it." It's like teams time wasting all the time.
Get the point.
Yeah, it's Newcastle at Anfield.
Right.
What do you expect?
Yeah.
They're supposed to just like not time waste.
It's part of the game.
Yeah, I'm triggered beyond all belief, tilted.
Yeah.
And a half at this.
Rough stuff for Newcastle.
Liverpool.
True. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Speaking of a team that gets some fortunate bounces, Leicester City's not one of them.
Last match of the match week, 20 out of 20. The lineups: Ward, Justin, Evans, Ndidi, Thomas, Barnes, Tielemans, Madison, Dewsbury Hall, Samari, and Jamie Vardy. For United, De Gea, Martinez, Malacia, Varane, Dalot, Fernandes, Eriksson, Sancho, Alaga, McTominay, and Marcus Rashford.
The ultimate Portuguese man himself.
Sure.
Do you know what you're doing, brother?
I dragged my tab. There's a snack in my
I
tab.
dragged my tab. It's me, Jose Mourinho. I dragged my tab.
Jose.
Football heritage.
We've gone off the rails. United opened the match with control of the possession and were able to find the only goal of the game in the 23rd minute when Leicester found their back line very exposed, having only two center backs back there, and they're like...
And one's Wilfred Ndidi.
Where is everyone? And one of them is Johnny Evans, who's like halfway dead.
Yeah.
Feel bad for the guy.
Too many injuries lately.
So it was just like super easy, few passes for United.
Yeah, Sancho, nice dribble.
Nice dribble to get past Ward, goal. And then Leicester had little influence in the first half, but United didn't look much like scoring either.
United loved it. They're just going to get a lead now and just sit on it.
Yeah.
It's going to be something to watch. They're going to be the 1-0 merchants.
I guess so. Goes into halftime, 1-0 United. Second half, Leicester looked better, but struggled to create chances. Their best chance of the game came in the 51st minute when James Maddison's long free kick was saved by De Gea.
That was a nice save.
And let me tell you something. Leicester's midfield was like the weirdest thing ever. They played 4 players who were all like either a 10 or like an 8/10.
Yeah.
And they're just like, all right,
go for it.
Just figure it out. And it's so funny to think back because it's like no one knows where they should be. They all kind of want to be in like a number 10 position.
Yeah.
But then at times it's like
people have to float out wide. They have to drop back a bit.
James Maddison's like the farthest guy back.
Deep lying playmaker.
No one wants to be the 6. It's like the 6 is love. It's like, I'm not doing that. You do it. No, you do it.
Yeah. And then they don't have one. And that's how you end up giving a counter tackle away to Jadon Sancho.
Yeah. their attack was just like super narrow, if you can believe, when you have those many guys and not like actual wingers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just really bad from Leicester. They look terrible. I think Brendan Rodgers will be getting sacked very soon. After the match, he made some comments about not getting the support.
Yeah.
In the
It's
transfer
a bit fair.
window.
You can't blame them. Normally, I don't feel bad for managers. This I do. Like when they spend net zero. I mean, come on.
I mean, the big problem, one, Fofana getting sold late in the window. That's tough. And then two, you have such a bloated squad that you got to get rid of guys first before you can sell. That's, unfortunately, sometimes that happens.
I'll take Sam as one of these mid-table teams to miss on a transfer and shit goes side up.
True.
You miss on Sumare, a 40, 50 million pound guy, your shit's about to get messed up.
Yeah, I was curious. I didn't look it up, but I was kind of wondering, like, distance covered. To me, it seemed like he, was, jogging the whole match and never
Are you calling him out saying he's not trying?
really put in a shift.
Are you giving him the people who call out Bournemouth for not trying?
Yes.
I just think he's not very good for the Premier League.
I don't think he's good either.
I think he'll go to France or Spain and be fine, but I don't think he matches the Premier League.
And I think, to be fair to him, he was being played out of position in this match.
Can we talk about how Ronaldo almost hit a bike?
Dude, it's funny you mentioned that. United's best chances in the second half were after
Ronaldo
got subbed on. Almost hit the bike. That was epic. Had another chance he could have scored on. But, yeah, United really only looked dangerous on the counter. They didn't really create much otherwise. So let's kind of halt the brakes on the United are back train for now.
No way. Ten Hag, genius.
But yeah, let's get into some predictions.
Yep. Let's get the next one.
Let's round it out. We would love to talk about some transfers, but unfortunately, there are just not enough time.
Unfortunately, I haven't eaten anything today, and I gotta eat. Hank's
hungry.
It's 9. It's almost 9:00 our local time. 9:00 at night.
You don't want to be here when Hank gets angry.
Hank hangry, they call me.
All right, so we're just gonna
Everton, Liverpool.
just hit it quick.
Yeah.
Quick thoughts.
I think Everton is gonna hang around in that one. I think it'll be a little harder for Liverpool than they think. I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool.
I was going to say 2-1 Liverpool. Yeah, I think Everton will be competitive. Second match, Brentford versus Leeds.
What are you looking at?
Brentford, they're dogs, okay? They're dogs out here. They fight back. Leeds, they're feisty. They're also dogs.
Leeds won at this fixture last year to stay up.
I think this has to be a 2-2 draw.
I'm going to go with a spectacular 3-3 draw.
Chelsea, West Ham.
West Ham playing a lot better. Chelsea's still kind of struggling to find anything. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, Chelsea have been pretty poor.
They at least get Reece James back, and they'll probably have Fofana in this game, I guess.
Can
we get Reece James as an actual wingback and we drop Havertz? Is that possible, Tuchel?
I'm going to say 1-1.
That's what I said.
Every match.
Draws across the board. This is definitely another draw. Newcastle Palace at St. James. What are you looking at?
I think Newcastle will be out for revenge after that disappointing last-minute losing goal. I think Newcastle will win this 1-2-0.
Okay. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
All right.
Forest, Bournemouth, the city ground. Is Bournemouth ready to feel the wrath of Nottingham Forest?
Well, I hope they don't get 9-0 here.
That won't happen. I think this will be another. I like what Forest do going forward, and some of their signings I wasn't in love with, but I like what they're doing with some of these guys. Toffolo looks pretty good in defense. Their back three kind of holds up well. Nico Williams is pretty solid for them.
Yeah, I like Nico Williams.
Brennan Johnson pops up. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Nottingham Forest win.
I'm going to say 2-0 Forest.
See, yeah, that's what worries me. Bournemouth, they're sneaky.
Spurs versus Fulham.
What do you got?
Well, Fulham, they're competitive.
Yeah.
they might be. The thing is, like, are Spurs going to let Fulham outpossess them at home?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes, I do.
They might.
I do.
I mean, you can never rule out another goal from Mitrovic. The guy's
That's going to
nuts.
happen. It's going to finish 2-1 Tottenham, but it should finish like 1-1 or
Yeah.
2-2
Yeah.
is how it's going to go.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Richarlison will get his first goal. I know you called it last week, but it's going to happen this week.
Yeah. Wolves versus Southampton.
Oh, I really like this game.
It's got to be Southampton. It's got to be.
That's what you want to believe, but then they let you down.
But then anytime you go against Wolves,
I know. That's the ultimate. I think this will be a 1-1 draw.
I'm going to say 2-1 Southampton.
Villa, City. Is this the end of Stevie G? I'm thinking
100%.
I'm thinking 3-0 City, and that's me being conservative. I think Villa's going to come out playing hard, but then they're eventually just going to have to go for it. I think City will thrash them by the end of it.
If Villa played like they did against Arsenal, it would probably be 6-0.
Yeah.
Stevie G's sacked Brendan Rodgers to Villa. You heard it here first.
Wow.
That's my prediction.
Gene Smith
no
back
goals.
to Villa.
That's my prediction.
Brighton, Leicester. I hate this game. Yeah. Mainly because I hate Leicester right now.
Leicester are really hard to watch. They're like the anti-team.
Yeah.
Them and Wolves.
Well, I said this year, I said the two teams I'd hate to watch, Everton, and I'm wrong about Everton. And then second was Leicester. I just
You were
hated
right
watching
about
Leicester
that.
at the end of last year. Brighton, I want to see it going. I want to see Pascal Gross be player of the year quality out there.
Let's go.
I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory for Brighton.
2-0. I was thinking the same thing.
Man U, Arsenal, Old Trafford, Sammy, what do you got to round it out?
Well, on paper, you would favor Arsenal in this matchup, but I think the Old Trafford factor in these matches, form gets thrown out the window. I think it'll be a 2-2 draw.
The world as I was seen.
2-2 draw. I'm a little concerned about the midfield situation. If Lokonga is playing, he did all right against Villa, but
That's true. That is a big thing. When is Zinchenko coming back? This is the shit they
not
need
this
him for.
week.
Well, that worries me then.
yeah.
I was going to go 2-1 Arsenal, but I'll go 1-1.
Okay.
I would have picked Arsenal if they had Zinchenko healthy, but I just, he's that guy who kind of fits in and goes plug and play, but
Yeah.
I don't trust it. Arsenal already injured to hell. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's scary having Lokonga. I mean, he played against
don't trust
Liverpool last year, and it went very poorly.
Yeah, I don't trust that guy.
Yeah.
Maybe in a couple of years.
Right.
All right. Well, you gave your amazing prediction, Brendan Rodgers to Villa.
Yeah.
I'm ready to see that.
Yeah. Let's go. That might be a more than 1 week type deal, but it's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we get one prediction of just like who's going to score?
All right. One cheeky prediction.
One who's going to score?
I think Isak. I think he'll score again.
Oh, shit. I thought you were going to go someone on Brentford. I think you're going to go Ben Mee. Number 2 on the year.
I think Isak's a little under the radar. Anyways,
Always going to be great.
this has been another episode of the Premiership Perusal Podcast. I just want to say, shout out. We had like 41 views on the YouTube. If anyone is still listening at this point, you're an absolute legend. I commend you, and shout out to those 41 people who clicked on the YouTube video, gave us some views. We love you.
Keep listening. Keep the faith.
It's available YouTube, Spotify, Google Casts, probably some other random stuff that
Old
no
ones
one
on
listens
SoundCloud.
to. Old ones on SoundCloud. But anyways, if you could throw us a like, subscribe,
Yep.
whatever, share the podcast. We appreciate you. And we'll be back
Adios.
next week
Mis amigos.
for another episode. Hank is he's got food already. He's out the door. All right, have a good night, everyone.